أهلا بيكم في دروس الأحياء للصف الثاني ثانوي. Today's lecture will continue our talk about nutrition, but this time it will be nutrition in human beings. So let's start. We talked about autotrophic nutrition. Today is heterotrophic nutrition. Remember, heterotrophic, those beings that feed on both animals and plants. Okay? And since the food is complex, containing particles of proteins and carbohydrates and fats, it need to be broken down into simpler forms, okay, or simpler structure like amino acids and glucose and fatty acids and glycerol. All these molecules are small and soluble in water and easily absorbed by the cells. And as you can remember, the absorption either by diffusion or by active transport. Okay, now the process of digestion. Digestion simply is converting large food molecules into smaller ones by means of hydrolysis. Large molecules called polymers and smaller ones called monomers. And the action is supervised actually, or activated or catalyzed by enzymatic enzymatic actions. Now, a simple idea about enzymes. Enzymes are protein substances which has the properties of a catalyst. It simply can direct reactions in both ways. It reacts with the compound under suitable conditions or under certain conditions, and reacts with it and leaves it, and returning its same structure, but the compound that reacted with the enzyme is changed into products of reaction. Okay, so the enzyme can catalyze, plus reacting substance, unstable intermediate compound formed, and then the enzyme separates from the products of the reaction, and the enzyme didn't change. Okay, didn't change its nature. This is simply the action of enzymes, and remember, the enzyme can catalyze both ways. Okay. They have reversible effect, as I told you before, and enzymes only accelerate the rate of reaction until it reaches a state of equilibrium. Some enzymes are secreted by the cells in an inactive state, so it needs an element that activates the enzyme, and the example here is pepsinogen, secreted by the stomach. Pepsinogen, it's the inactive form of pepsin, which is the enzyme we need to digest proteins. And the media here that activates the enzyme pepsinogen into pepsin is HCl. HCl present in abundance in stomach, of course. Now, the activity of the enzyme depends upon temperature and pH. Please remember this, of the medium. So what affects the action of the enzyme? Temperature and pH of the medium the enzyme is in. Okay, so this is an idea about the action of enzymes, how they interact with substances, and what affects their action. Okay, digestion in man. if I ask you a question, where does it start? Do you think it's the stomach? No. The digestion process starts in the mouth. I don't mean in the mouth by means, the action of teeth. No. I mean the saliva in the mouth. They provide moisture, of course, to food to be easily manipulated, but contains enzymes like the amylase enzyme. And amylase acts on carbohydrates. So the digestion of carbohydrates start in the mouth. Please do not remember this. Do not forget this. Digestion process starts in the mouth, and what's the first element to be digested by the saliva is carbohydrates. Proteins and fats wait until they reach the stomach, and the medium HCl breaks them down. Okay? Now the digestive tract is from mouth to anus, and mouth to the pharynx, that opens into two passages. The pharynx opens into the esophagus, which is the digestive tract, and the trachea, which is the respiratory tract. And then the esophagus, then the stomach, and then duodenum and jejunum and ileum, which is the small intestine, then the large intestine, ascending colon, transverse and descending colon, and rectum, then the anal canal and anus to the outside. This is the digestive tract. Okay? Now, in this digestive tract, we have glands like the salivary glands and liver and the pancreas. The liver is considered as a gland, and the pancreas is considered as a mixed gland because it secretes juices and secretes also, as we studied before, as you will study actually in third secondary, secretes insulin and glucagon hormones. So it's a mixed gland, endocrine gland and exocrine gland. So remember the glands surrounding the digestive tract: salivary glands, liver, and pancreas. Of course, there are lots of mucus glands in the digestive digestive tract. Buccal digestion means digestion inside the mouth. The mouth is adapted to this function by having teeth. We have the incisors which cut solid materials, the canines which tear the solid materials or tear food. There's a difference between cutting and tearing. Cutting معناها يقطع, tearing معناها يمزع. Okay? And the premolars and molars اللي هم الطواحين for grinding action of food, to grind food. And of course the tongue manipulates the bolus of food inside the mouth and mixes it to be able to be properly chewed down. Okay, so this is buccal digestion. Saliva, on the other hand, in the mouth, provides moisture to the food bolus to be easily manipulated, as well as it contains enzymes, especially enzyme amylase or ptyalin, that acts in a weak alkaline medium, pH 7.4. Okay, and acts on what? Starch, carbohydrate. So the digestion of carbohydrate, as I told you before, starts in the mouth. Okay. Also, I forgot to tell you that the tongue, in addition to its function in manipulating the bolus of food, it provides taste because it has taste buds on it. Okay? Okay. The pharynx, this is the pharynx, see? The pharynx, open into two tubes, trachea in front and esophagus in the back. Trachea in front of the esophagus. And when swallowing, this is taken up to be closed, to be able, because the epiglottis here, this closes the respiratory tract so as food not to enter the respiratory tract but continues its way to the esophagus. This is swallowing. Okay, as I told you, when food is pushed from the mouth to the esophagus, the top of the trachea together with the larynx is elevated, causing the epiglottis, which is this one, to close over the glottis. This is the region of the glottis. Now, here's the beginning of the esophagus, continues down for a distance of 25 centimeters approximately, and extends from the pharynx to the stomach. The esophagus is lined with glands secreting mucus to facilitate the passage of the chewed down food from the pharynx to the stomach to be completely digested. Food is carried through the esophagus to the stomach by a series of rhythmic contractions called peristalsis. peristalsis بيسموها بالعربي الحركة الدودية، يعني ان بيحصل contraction في الwall of the esophagus، في longitudinal muscle layer وفي circular muscle layer. دي contract مش كلهم مع بعض، لا in series، يعني contract ورا البولس of food، ورا الاكل عشان تدفع الاكل تنزله لتحت. شوف هنا حصل contraction، بعد شويه لما الفود نزل لتحت حصل contraction قبليه، بعد شويه حصل contraction قبليه. هي دي اسمها البيريستالسيس. البيريستالسيس اللي موجوده في الاستامك بقى ليه؟ علشان تخلط الاكل، معناها churning the food and mixing it with the digestive juice، تخلط الاكل. وكمان البيريستالسيس اللي موجود في الانتستين. So remember, this type of movement is called peristalsis. Okay, gastric digestion. The stomach عبارة عن dilated muscular sac which lies in the abdominal cavity. It's joined to the lower part of the esophagus by in this region. This is called the cardia of the stomach. It's a sphincter that regulates passage of food to the stomach. The stomach also connects to the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestine, by means of another sphincter is called the pyloric sphincter. So remember, the cardiac sphincter or the cardia of the stomach is a sphincter between the esophagus and the stomach. And the pyloric sphincter is a sphincter. sphincter معناها صمام، يعني بينظم عملية مرور الأكل فيه. Pyloric sphincter that's between the stomach and the beginning of the small intestine. Proteins are the only food substances which are affected by the gastric juice. بيبدأ actually الهضم بتاع البروتينز انها تتكسر لبوليبيبتايدز هنا في الستومك by the action of HCl and pepsinogen. Pepsinogen زي ما قلنا قبل كده is the inactive form of pepsin, which is the main enzyme for digestion of proteins. كل ده في الستومك بيسموه الجاستريك جوس. الجاستريك جوس متكونه من ايه؟ واتر طبعا. HCl ده بينزل ال pH of the inside the stomach لغايه 1.5 to 2.5، وده acidic قوي، يعني acidity جامده، which stops the action of tyline او amylase enzyme اللي هو كان موجود في الماوث من السلايفا. اوكي، وايه كمان ال HCl بيعمل؟ kills harmful bacteria that may enter the food، يعني يطهر الفود من البكتيريا اللي فيه، وكمان ends the action of amylase اللي هو كان secreted in the mouth in the saliva. Pepsin زي ما قلنا هو الاكتيف form of pepsinogen عن طريق الاكشن of HCl. Protein digestion. Pepsin catalyzes the hydrolysis of protein by breaking peptide linkages in the long chain of protein علشان يطلع الناتج اسمه polypeptides. بروتين زائد واتر يدي بيبسين، بالاكشن اوف بيبسين في وجود ال HCl يدي polypeptides. اوكي، وبعد كده البوليبيبتايدز بتتكسر لامينو اسيدز. and في سؤال: since the stomach is made up of protein, why does it not digest itself? لأن في طبقة mucus بتحمي ال wall of the stomach, secreted by the mucosa of the stomach, بتحمي ال stomach من ال action of HCl. علشان كده في القرحة اللي عندهم قرحة بيبقى فيه زي جرح في الميوكوزا اوف ذا سمول انتستين، وده اللي خلى ال HCl يتسلل من الميوكوزا ويقدر يهضم الوول اوف ذا stomach، يقدر يهضم الوول اوف ذا stomach، يهضمها، يعني كأن الستومك بدأت تهضم نفسها، وهو ده اللي عنده قرحة، ده أساس القرحة اللي موجودة. وكمان سبحان الله اللي بيحمي الوول اوف ذا ستومك، ان هتدرسوا ان شاء الله في طب كده، ان الميوكوسا اوف ذا ستومك التip بتاعتها بتاعت السيلز اللي مواجهه لل HCl اللي جوه دي سبحان الله الكالاين، فيها من جوه رياكشن بيحصل يخليها الكالاين، فالالكالينيتي اللي موجوده في الميوكوزا اوف ذا ستومك بتعادل الاسيديتي اللي موجوده في الستومك من ال HCl. فايه اللي بيحمي الستومك انها تهضم نفسها؟ اللي عليكم دلوقتي ان في ميوكس سكريشنز بتبقى سكريتد من الميوكوزا اوف ذا ستومك، تمام؟ واللي انا بضيفه عليكم ان بيبقى فيه حاجه اسمها الكالاين تايد في الميوكوسا اوف ذا ستومك بيعادل الاسيديتي بتاعه الستومك. ده غير ان كمان البيبسينوجين only will be activated in the acid media. يعني البيبسينوجين ما بيهضمش الستومك ليه؟ علشان هيبقى activated بس في وجود الاسيديتي، والاسيديتي او الاسيد بيفرز في حالة وجود اكل، يعني مش موجود على طول كده ان دايما كمية الاسيد هي اللي موجودة في الستومك، لا، بيفرز لما يبقى موجود في اكل. Okay, هي lecture, a very simple lecture, and I hope you got the maximum benefit from this lecture. Thank you very much for watching.